Welcome to 26 Black Night Film Festival, and you're with the PÖFF TV. You're with the segment Meet the Filmmaker, and today we're going to discuss about a film which is also in the first feature competition, a film from India, Amar Colony. And I would like to welcome the director of the film, Siddharth Chauhan, and also the actor of the film, Nimisha Nair. Welcome, Nimisha. Welcome, Siddharth. So, before we talk about the film, this is your first time in PÖFF, and how have you been received by the city, and what do you think about the festival?
What do you think, Siddharth?
Very warm, and it's snowing outside. So, yeah, it's my first time, but yeah, I'm really enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also from a very cold climate, from Shimla. Like, do you see a
Yes.
similarity? with
Yes,
lifestyle?
a similarity in terms of like it's very compact and yeah, I'm used to the snow, so it's not very cold for me.
How about
I'm
you?
not.
Okay.
So for me, it was a difficult time adjusting, but that's why I think I came a day earlier so that I could acclimatize to the to the city. But so far, I really like it. The fact that I can just go anywhere and not be worried about anything. I think that's something I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Siddharth, like, I would like to know, like, what was your need of telling this story? Because now this is like remote from the bigger industry, and then you're telling a story which is kind of an isolated society. So, what was your need to tell this story?
I don't know, see why I ended up making this film, but what I know is that when I see a lot of Bollywood films in India, like I get bored very easily, and I'm myself craving
Right.
for watching something different. So when I had the opportunity of making this film, I thought, okay, let me tell a story, which is different from the conventions. And so my inspiration was this building which I found in Shimla, which is my hometown.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, now I need some very interesting characters. So I thought, let it be these three women in the film, and let me make a story about them.
Okay. And then, like, from your previous films, like you have done, like, short films and many productions before that. So was there any inspiration from there, from your style, or for this story?
Yeah. So this film actually happens to be an expanded version of one of my short films, which was called Papa, and I made it in 2016.
Right.
So I still remember, when I came back home after its Indian premiere, I felt very unsatisfied, and I was like, okay, I enjoyed making this film, but I wanted to say something more, and because that the space, where I shot the film, that building, the tall corridors inside, those empty spaces, there were so many closed doors. So I started imagining that, I want to tell a story behind each of these closed doors. So it's for that reason, even in the film that you'll see that the doors are very important. Lots of scenes where the doors are opening and closing, the corridors. So for me, it was, like I was just very intrigued by those spaces, and I wanted to tell a story about those doors. Yeah.
So, Nimisha, like, this is also, like, as a main role, this is your first feature. So, and also, like, tell me, like, how did you work around this character, a pregnant woman, isolated but surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of dissatisfactions. She is in a search. So, what was your journey to this character?
So it took me some time to even get used to the idea of a person like that. I was speaking to a friend also the other day, and I think a similar question was asked, and I thought I took some time, and I thought that it's something so far removed. Maybe that's why it became easy to. It wasn't something I am, it was something so far removed from me. So I got to explore something that I'm not very comfortable with in a very safe space. And when we also, of course, we did a lot of physical research, and we went to hospitals and doctors, and we met pregnant women. I saw some people delivering it, and it took me some time to get into the physicality of it, but I think that was not that much of a challenge, more so than it was to figure out the emotional sense of it, to see, to put yourself in that idea of a person who is looking for some kind of emancipation. And that, I think, took me some time, but I'm saying, on the other hand, it helped me discover a part of me that I didn't really know existed, and it helped me become some, like, as you do a role, you evolve also as a person. I think that happened to me.
Siddharth, now in your film, you take some creative license and bring surrealistic approach with certain elements, and then with some mythological events or the characters. So, like, I really wanted to ask you, when I saw the film also, the relationship that you are bringing with a pigeon. So what's the backstory to this one?
So when I conceptualized this film, I noticed that like, my first understanding was that, okay, this is a very boring place, and when I have to make a film about, about this, about these empty corridors and, these three families living in this chawl-like building called Amar Colony, and moreover, the film is about loneliness, it's about the isolation which each of these characters are feeling. So I particularly, like, wanted like some surreal things to be there, because otherwise it was very boring for me. And I personally, I'm a person who thinks that like, when things get very boring, I start imagining things. Like I like to sit in a closed room and then imagine, okay, what if something happens to this window? What if like, many spiders walk into my room? What will happen? So that's how I entertain myself. And I thought that my characters were also, like, were isolated. They were lonely, and they were craving for something in their life. And like, that's how it was weaved in the film, that they will also perhaps like, try to imagine certain things, and that will make Amar Colony a very interesting experience.
Right.
The pigeon bit of it actually came from how I conceptualized it is, I initially wanted a parrot.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to shoot with a parrot in India.
Oh,
So there was this parrot which would, like, sit in front of my room's window. It would, every morning I would see it there. So I had initially written my draft with a parrot. But then, like, over the certain revisions, I changed it to a pigeon.
Right.
And I thought, that also works perfectly well.
Yeah, because, like, in film, like, you bring this pigeon, and then there is kind of dark humor.
Yes.
Like, there's a different layer of dark humor there. In the film, like, which audience get captivated, but then again, like, you're trying to mirror the characters also in the same time with the pigeon there. I would like to again ask, like, of the post-production process. So how did it work? And, like, I could see, like, some towards the end of the film, very interesting editing points, like, within 20 seconds you bring, like, when this the mother in the wheelchair, she's in the garbage truck, and then you cut, she's inside, and then you cut, she's there in the house, and then, like, another pigeon comes into the scene. So that's, like, a kind of a dark humor, but, like, how did you work with your editor?
So the editing was a very complex process for this film. Like, initially I spent almost 2 years on the film to edit the film. And I was working with one editor first, and I did not quite enjoy the experience. And then a lot of people, including Nimisha, recommended this person, this wonderful person called Mr. Paresh Kamdar in India. He's supposed to be, like, everyone talks so highly of him.
Yeah, he's a well-known editor.
Such a well-known editor and also a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So I just gave him a call, and I was like, so I have this film, and I'm not very happy with it, how it's looking and how it has been cut. So, and I don't know what to do with it, because I'd only made short films before this. So when this huge 1 hour 30 minute film was in front of me, and I just found myself in a in a place where in a dead like in a deadlock, where I just didn't know like how to go ahead, what to do with the film,
because you have spent a lot of time with the film then.
And I needed like some objectivity. So I was like, can you please watch my film and like suggest what I can do about it. So he saw the film, and he and he had some very interesting observations about the film, and the rhythm and the way it should be like edited. So I collaborated with Mr. Paresh Kamdar, and it was such a lovely process, because we kind of tried to understand the tonality of the whole film,
Mhm.
you know, the soul of the whole film, and then we tried to edit it in
yeah.
such a way.
And Nimisha, like, tell me the process of, like, working with Siddharth, and like how did he work with you, like, and with the acting, like, did you have rehearsals, or like what was the discussion?
We actually had constant correspondence going on, just like 3-4 months before the shoot also. And when I arrived so there's a lot of intimacy in the film, and it requires a certain kind of comfort with your co-actor. So that was good, like smart enough, and also he gave us that space to rehearse and figure out what's comfortable for you. So that way I think he's very open, and we were just talking about the same thing at lunch, that Siddharth has he's a compassionate director, so he gives everybody whatever they want. You figure it out, I know you will do it. And he has given everybody the kind of space that they require. People like me, I'm very okay, you like it, okay, I'm good with it, go for it. Some actors, they want to see, and they want to do it again a couple of times. He's like, okay, let's do it. So he's been accommodating, he's been open to a lot of things, and anything and everything I used to come up to him, he was very open and talking about it. I never felt that I could never approach him. He had that approachability to him. So and it took us some 2-3 months to figure out Meera, and over Zoom calls and text messages and whatnot. And then when I finally came down to Shimla, 5 to 7 days of workshop, and that's it.
Yeah, and
That's a lot of praise.
Siddharth, like, my last question, like, give me a crisp, like, short answer, because we are running out of the time also. Like, you are an independent filmmaker, and then you are making these films against a big Goliath of Bollywood, like, it's a big industry. So how does it affect to you, like, positively, negatively, like, how does it affect, like, for an independent filmmaker?
For me, it's non-existent. You know, like I just know that I have to make a film, and I don't worry about where it's going to go, who is it competing with, So I just don't care about it, to be honest. Like I'm just interested in in telling my stories and making my film and putting it out there for the audience, maybe for the festival audience to start with, and yeah, I'll just let the film take its own course.
Yes, amazing, because it's such a refreshing thing to see this kind of films coming from India, and like it's a very genuine expression. And thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for coming,
you.
and I wish you all the best. Have a great festival journey and a great international release for your film.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dhanushka, signing out from PÖFF TV.